Non-Souls-like third-person games certainly have their spot in the hierarchy of games, so here's looking at upcoming action-adventure and character action games, beginning with ENENRA Demon Core, one that throws you into a gritty cyberpunk world where every person is born with a demon core, a crystalline organ granting superhuman abilities. The Datenshi Corp gathers up high-level demon core users and adds them to their mercenary army, where you play as one such member, hacking and slashing away through the world. Not too much is revealed about the story at the moment, so I'm only judging on the action and animations, which looks cool as hell, with slick combos, 3 stances to switch between, and a variety of weapons and abilities, looking like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance or something, and simply looks sick. Kingdom Hearts, for better or worse, had an outsized impact on the world of gaming, with Luminous Nights being a so-called Hearts-like action-adventure RPG inspired by the classic tale of 1001 Arabian Nights. You play as Faris, a young hero in a mystical city where darkness and tyranny loom under the rule of the Masked King, and you must fight to restore light and hope across the realm. Combat with its blend of quick combos, magic abilities, and platforming looks fun, with well-designed and thematic locations as well, and will certainly be for fans of the genre. This video is brought to you by Lirai, Heir of Darkness, an intense third-person action RPG set in a shattered post-apocalyptic world crawling with zombies, demons, and other monstrosities that have pushed humanity to the brink of extinction. And you take the role of Brian, a battle-scarred knight, fighting to uncover the truth about the collapse while surviving brutal fights. Combat is fast, tactical, and visceral as you use your sword and melee attacks, requiring timing, clever positioning, and fluid counterattacks as you weave together strikes, dodges, and powerful combos against enemies big and small. A striking feature is a variety of playable transformations for the character, each offering unique abilities and playstyles to suit different combat scenarios. Alongside direct confrontation, levels include secrets and puzzles as you explore complex character relationships and more about the history of the world, so if interested, try their free demo and wishlist the game. I was intrigued when Mistfall Hunter was first revealed, being initially unsure where to put it, but at this current stage, it is now a third-person PvPvE extraction RPG, which is the genre that game developers are trying to crack at the moment, due to the promise of a large pot of gold, set in a broken world where the gods have fallen and their spilled blood has turned into a corrosive golden mist that corrupts everything it touches. You take on the role of a resilient hunter, venturing into contaminated ruins to battle mutated creatures, gather valuable loot, and try to escape with your haul. Combat blends fluid melee and ranged action with precise aiming, chaining combos, and responsive movement that feels visceral against the backdrop of ruined landscapes and eerie environments. Whether you band up with others or go solo, every expedition through the mist-covered zones will test your build strategy, knowledge of the world, positioning, and mastery of the combat system, looking very impressive and is one to watch. An atypical action-adventure RPG is HARUKA Beyond the Stars, a very anime-looking title with a dual protagonist setup following Yuki, a young adventurer whose world expands when he meets a mysterious girl named Mia and sets off into space aboard a ship to explore unique planets and uncover the truth behind humankind's decline while searching for his missing father. This intergalactic RPG has action-driven exploration and combat with an anime-style presentation as you traverse alien landscapes, solve mysteries among distant civilizations, and engage in dynamic battles switching between the two characters. Along the way, you meet colourful allies and uncover narrative beats with major themes around survival, hope, and connection in a universe that has lost its spark and does look very pretty indeed. The Legend of Baboo is an action-adventure game that follows young Sapphire and his devoted dog, who is just the cutest, in a heartfelt quest to rescue their family after an ancient evil's invasion shatters their island home, driving you to explore a vivid world full of magic and peril. You traverse lush terrain, battling guardians with responsive combat mechanics, and solve environmental challenges that open the path forward. The bond between the two characters shapes the journey as you work together to overcome setbacks and press into the unknown, giving me a little bit of The Last Guardian vibes but with more direct combat. A couple of people I know have tried the demo for Dead as Disco, and they say it's something special, being a rhythm-infused action beat-em-up where you play as Charlie Disco, a fallen music icon, fighting his way through neon-drenched cyberpunk environments, firing off martial arts strikes and attacks to the beat on your journey to reclaim the spotlight and confront your former bandmates, now known as the Idols. Every strike, dodge and combo flows with the soundtrack so that the movement and combat are tied to the rhythm, with the beat kundo martial arts being its own thing, which in combination with the soundtrack, character design and art style simply looks very sleek with satisfying action. Feeding Echo is a fast-paced elemental action-adventure RPG where you manipulate water and other elements in real time, used in both combat and traversal as you venture through surreal, shifting landscapes corrupted by a paradox that has drained life from a dying desert realm. You control One, a young legend, whose goal is to restore balance to this fractured land using the elements as you battle enemies and solve environmental puzzles. The movement and locomotion looks neat as you shift into liquid form to pass through fences or jump up pipes and rivers, with the almost cel-shaded looking art style being quite pretty as well. Axed of Blood is a gritty third-person beat-em-up set in a dystopian metropolis where you play as Hendra, a determined law student whose life is torn apart by corruption and violence, forcing you to fight back to uncover the truth behind your family's murder. Combat revolves around fast, visceral hand-to-hand encounters, requiring the use of chaining combos, counters, and using both melee and firearms as you take on thugs to get closer to the truth. Destructible objects and environments add to the violence and action, but you do need to be a little bit tactical as well in your approach, positioning yourself and choosing how to engage the enemy so that you don't get overwhelmed. I believe this is from an Indonesian developer as well, and is set in a fictional city based in the same country, showing off elements of their world and culture, which is always neat to see. Showa American Story is a cinematic action RPG set in a surreal post-apocalyptic Showa America, an alternate history where Japanese culture and economics have reshaped the United States and society has collapsed following a catastrophic event. Play as Chuko, a young woman mysteriously revived from the dead, who must journey across wastelands, ruined cities, and zombie-infested highways in search of answers on a journey of truth and revenge as she unravels the mystery behind the world's downfall. Combat mixes both melee and ranged options with dodging and special abilities as you weave your way through the undead and mutated enemies while exploring diverse locales, with the whole game drawing from 80s pop culture with a B-movie flair. It's a very intriguing setting for sure, with motorcycle exploration and even a customized RV to call your home, definitely being unique with an updated release window of 2026, so fingers crossed we will get more information soon. One of the most stylish titles is Spine. This is Gunfu, a cinematic third-person action game where you control Redline, a rebellious street artist, and hunts with a sentient combat implant known as Spine, and must battle through a gritty cyberpunk world controlled by an oppressive AI regime while searching for your captured brother. Gunfu takes center stage here as you make melee strikes, grapples, throws, and more, in addition to straight out blasting enemies in the face with your guns, not just being limited to pistols, but also shotguns and more. Add on acrobatic movement and even what looks like parkour in some sections makes this a very cool game, and it gets even crazier with some awesome boss designs and camera angles. The worry, however, is whether these are just quick time events or if there's some way to directly control the action, but in either case, does still look pretty awesome. Developer Pathia Games has really gone from strength to strength with the My Time series of farming life sims, smaller games like Let's School, and now they are aiming bigger with The God Slayer, an open-world action RPG set in a steampunk-inspired eastern metropolis where mighty divine beings called the Celestials once ruled, and you play as an elemental determined to take revenge after your family was slaughtered during a catastrophic event known as the God Fall, when those gods turned on humanity. In this dynamic world, elemental magic is used alongside martial arts, letting you harness fire, water, earth, metal, and wood in combat to launch powerful attacks or to control the battlefield. As you explore sprawling urban districts and shattered landscapes, you can learn new skills from ancient scrolls and elemental masters, deepen your understanding of tea, and engage different factions looking insanely ambitious, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on this. To me, Metroidvanias are always side-scrolling, so the 3D titles get thrown into this category, with AEROMACHINA being a good-looking throwback one of these. You play as Bogey, an android evolved from abandoned aircraft parts who battles, flies, and explores the shattered remnants of Earth in search of the reason of humanity's disappearance. This is a non-linear title, so you are free to explore, unlocking new abilities and weapons that change traversal and combat, while also granting access to new areas. There's melee hack-and-slash combat in so-called robot form, as well as more flight-based sections where you wield a propeller blade as a main weapon, which fits nicely with the theme. Hidden corridors and secret encounters are tucked away in this interconnected world, looking quite unique and well made. 2025 saw the release of the remastered versions of Anima Gate of Memories 1 and 2, so I suppose the attention is now on Anima Song from the Abyss, a third-person action RPG set in the fantasy world of Gaia from the Anima Beyond Fantasy tabletop franchise. Of course, the cel-shaded art style stands out, along with a vibrant color palette where you control two interlinked characters whose destinies draw them into a deep, multifaceted tale of ancient civilizations, personal bonds, and unfolding mystery beneath an ever-looming abyss. It has hack-and-slash action, which looks especially stylish since you can seamlessly switch between the two characters, along with some sweet attack animations and impressive boss designs. Explore massive environments and make narrative choices that shift how story and character progression unfolds as you uncover the reason behind the demise of a long-lost society, looking very impressive as well. We have the release date for Homura Hime in March 2026, where this anime third-person action-adventure game has bullet hell influenced combat, so definitely expect intensity in this game. Humans and demons coexist in this world, but powerful archdemons threaten to corrupt all of existence, so you take on the role of the Flame Princess, who, along with her aide Anne, have to battle and purify corrupted adversaries to unravel the truth behind her own legacy. You have to dodge and counter frenetic projectile barrages, while chaining together combos, unlocking a variety of special weapons that deepen the combat system. Again, this looks very impressive, with some awesome boss designs, so definitely keep an eye on this since it releases very soon. A retro title is Gunmetal Gothic, an action shooter RPG with co-op support set in the crumbling city of Vestige, where you take on the role of an anchorite defending humanity from demonic machines using a blend of firearms, spells, and agile movement. Customize your character's loadout with diverse weapons and gear, balance trade-offs, and pursue high scores by defeating mechanical invaders and collecting powerful loot as quickly as you can. Combat looks kinetic and responsive, with what appears to be various visually unique characters, although I'm not sure if there are any gameplay differences between them, but they swung hard in terms of the art style and did nail it in my opinion. One of the most visually impressive titles is Mortal Shell 2, a name which you might remember from a few years back, being a Souls-like RPG with a shell system where you could switch between forms and harden your shell during combat to outmaneuver enemies, but this standalone sequel has ditched the stamina meter and is a full-on action RPG. Again, you discover and inhabit dormant warrior shells to access their unique strengths and abilities as you navigate an atmospheric open world shaped by forgotten ruins, interlocking paths, and hidden threats. Harness each shell's inherent power and weapon specialization and master a visceral combat system where timing and counterattacks still matter. Enemy designs are as grotesque as ever, and they did ramp up the violence to an almost comically excessive level as you repeatedly stab enemies in the throat, but they can do the same to you. Explore a ravaged world and dethrone the false gods claiming dominion over it, where the character variety and action will drive the game forward. We also have the release date for Gothic 1 Remake, one of the legendary RPG series that perhaps did not get its due back in the day, with this new version being all modern and shiny. It aims to be a faithful remake where you play as an unknown prisoner trapped in a prison colony created by the king's wizard, but when the barrier spell spirals out of control, the inmates now run the asylum. It's a dangerous, lawless world with warring criminal factions vying for control, and you have to survive and find your place in it. The third-person combat looks intense as you use swords, arrows, and even magic to battle not only humans but various monsters as well, completing quests and building your reputation among the various factions. The expected loot and RPG progression systems are in place against the backdrop of political intrigue and tension among factions, where NPCs are on their own schedules and routines, giving it a living world kind of feel. So given the legendary status of the original, this remake might bring a whole new generation of fans into the series. Another highly anticipated title is Might Rhea, an anime-inspired action game where you play as Rhea, a schoolgirl superhero and emerging content creator, working together with her manager as they tackle monstrous threats pouring out of another dimension in high-speed aerial combat, using flashy moves and dramatic combos to take them out. Leap into battles, selecting from 3 iconic weapons and over 30 unique actions to deal with the variety of encounters from minor skirmishes to towering bosses, with a certain bombastic anime spectacle and flair that reminds me of One Punch Man as these monstrous beings appear. The whole manager content creator thing adds another layer to the game as you stream these battles out to an audience, looking visually impressive with some sick enemy designs. Bradley the Badger was reviewed quite recently and quickly shot up the charts, and is a genre-bending title that I didn't know quite where to put, but I had to give it a mention. It's a third-person action-adventure game that seems to be a love letter to classic platforming and exploration titles, starring an iconic mascot who awakens in a world that no longer makes sense and sets out to save his home and friends. The levels and worlds vary wildly and is a bit meta as well, since you're using game developer powers to get through the game. In addition to combat, there are also puzzles, quests, and plenty of secrets to discover. The meta-narrative revolves around unfinished games and creative frustration, but to see it woven into the game itself is neat and looks very impressive. If you were disappointed in the cancellation of the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, then can I recommend Mortal Slice instead, an action-adventure platformer set in the brutalist world where you guide a young woman named P through a stark post-apocalyptic landscape using fluid parkour movement, agile traversal, and intense combat with a chain sword as you navigate deadly traps, crumbling architecture, and hostile mechanical opposition. The parkour-style movement, from wall running to how the character rotates around vertical posts and swings on beams, is straight out of Prince of Persia, with some Mirror's Edge influence as well, as you fluidly make your way through the environment. These culminate in boss fights against giant construction equipment where for whatever reason you can parry the giant wheel of a prime mover using your sword when it tries to crush you, making me go hell yeah whenever I see this, so let's hope 2026 will be the year. I like developer Glass Revolver, so when their next game was announced I was intrigued, where We Kill Monsters has you playing as a husk of Imidu, a homunculus engineered to explore the massive pit known as the Shell to hunt angels while finding out why this vast void exists. Beneath the dying city, the world spirals downwards through countless layered strata where you must navigate open interconnected terrain, hunt colossal threats to fuel the Great Elevator, and gather vital supplies such as food, weapons, and crafting materials to survive ever deeper journeys. You can rest almost anywhere, build campfires, cook, trade, or even strum guitar by the fire with companions in co-op, which enhances the sense of survival and shared experience during your expensive hunts. Exploration blends survival, action, and emergent discovery as you chase targets, piece together clues, and push towards the mysteries at the bottom of the pit, where giant pits or towers always provide the inherent sense of mystery, which I absolutely love. VA Proxy has been going absolutely insane on social media, being the game that allows you to parry a nuke, taking place in a huge dynamic megastructure, and tells the tale of 3 sentient machines seeking freedom, while plunging deeper into the deteriorating innards of metal and ruin. You play as an S unit, a fragile yet hard-hitting robot, using parries, strikes, and agile air dashes to engage the enemy, along with support drones named V units to provide additional backup. Explore sprawling interconnected zones in this post-apocalypse, having some of the most epic boss fights that I have seen, including giant robots, giant flying worm things, and a lot more, with everything from swords to rockets which you can ride on, and even the ability to parry gravity to avoid fall damage, looking absolutely insane, and I'm hyped, but still no release information as of recording. The other Hearts-like action RPG which has really made an impression is Dusk Fade, where you play as Zirian, alongside his mechanical companion Cuckoo, fighting a way through a fantastical land plunged into eternal night by the mysterious clock tower that stole the essence of time. You jump, dash, grapple, and slash with fluid high-impact motion, looking to be a throwback to the golden era of action platformers. Explore forested areas, underwater realms, and lofty heights in pursuit of your missing sister, while uncovering the secrets of the ancient master clockmakers and the fabric of time itself. Combat interlocks with precision platforming, with a gorgeous modern visual style as well, even down to the keyblade looking weapon that our hero uses, so they are not shy about its inspiration. From the developer of the timed action-adventure game Unsighted comes Abyss X-Zero, a stylish 3D Metroidvania where you explore a sprawling, low-poly world filled with carefully crafted dungeons, platforming challenges, and expressive combat as you uncover what ties two legendary heroes together and why their fates are bound to conflict. You will be switching between two characters, codename A and codename Z, each with distinct movement options and combat styles that change how you interact with the environment and overcome threats, with the game, I believe, building towards a climactic fight between the two. Of course, the character designs certainly remind me of Kill La Kill, with a sick throwback art style as well, so given the pedigree, it's certainly one to watch. French developers do love making their JRPGs, with Edge of Eternity from 2021 being a great one of these, but the developers are trying something different with Edge of Memories, an action JRPG with real-time combat where you step into a world ravaged by a terrible affliction called the Corrosion that mutates every living thing it touches. Play as Eileen, a nomadic soul whisperer whose journey to save a land requires an epic journey as you recruit and develop relationships with a cast of companions and fight to stop extinction. Eileen is cursed and can tap into the corrosion to use its powers against it, but overusing that power might just turn her into the Black Beast, used to destroy the world. The real-time action looks intense and very good, and is a very interesting take on the genre, and at the moment has a 2026 release window, so I'm hoping it releases this year. Watch this video for upcoming action-adventure games.